Hi, I'm Ayla of Transcending Trims, and this is It's More Than a Haircut. Real talk from behind the chair, unfiltered stories, deep reflections, and the raw truth about life in the beauty industry. Let's explore the emotional side of making others feel beautiful while learning how to hold on to our own confidence too. Season 2, Episode 7, Coming Out Again. My journey through bisexuality, ENM, and queer identity. My story as a bisexual woman in a straight presenting marriage, and why visibility matters. Trigger warning! This episode contains discussion of biphobia, queer identity, and internalized shame and fear of rejection that may be sensitive for some listeners. If that feels tender for you right now, feel free to skip or come back when you're ready. Please take care of yourself and listen with discretion. Hi, beautiful soul. This episode feels big for me. Tender, brave, and overdue. This is my story as a bisexual woman presenting in a straight marriage and why visibility matters, even when it's complicated, even when it's nuanced, even when it's not what people expect. From the time I was a little girl, long before what I understood what bisexuality even meant, I felt it. I grew up noticing the ways I was drawn to both boys and girls. Kindergarten crushes, little moments with my friends where I'd feel something more than friendship develop. But like so many of us, I learned to fall in line with what I saw around me, the hetero standard, the normal path. When I was 5, my family moved from California to Ohio. And while Ohio is beautiful in its own way, it wasn't exactly a place where a young girl felt safe exploring her sexuality. So I tucked that part of myself away. Throughout my school years, I flirted and explored innocently with my girlfriends. I came so close to acting on those desires, but life and fear interrupted. By the time I moved back to California for high school, I was intrigued by the West Coast's openness. Freedom felt closer here, and yet I still played the role. I dated boys, I laughed off crushes on girls, I kept myself in a box, afraid of shame, afraid of bullying, and being too much. Adulthood didn't change that, not right away. I married, I became a mother, I built a beautiful life on the outside, but inside, I was restless. A quiet voice kept asking, who have I been all these years? What parts of me have I denied to play roles for other people? My mother was a swinger most of my life. Seeing her with multiple partners wasn't unusual for me, but I never imagined that one day I'd explore similar spaces, not as rebellion, but as a way of reclaiming myself. I began to question, what if I could create a life where I didn't have to deny these parts of myself anymore? If my marriage was going to survive, I knew I needed to have the hardest, most honest conversation of my life. I told my husband, I told my mom, and to my surprise, they were supportive. For the first time, my husband and I started sharing our deepest desires. We began talking about non-monogamy, kink, and about curiosity. It wasn't about fixing our marriage. It was about growing closer as we peeled away the layers of who we'd been taught to be. But with that honesty came new fears. I worried about how this would look from the outside. Would people think I was queer baiting? That I was performing bisexuality for attention or gain? And then there was my career as a hairstylist. My chair isn't just where I do hair. It's where clients tell me their stories, their secrets. It's sacred. But I couldn't ignore the questions swirling around in my head. Would my clients see me differently? Would they be uncomfortable knowing my truth? Would I lose guests who felt my personal life clashed with their values? But then I thought about the women that I've sat with over the years. The ones who let me in on their own curiosities, explorations, and what ifs. Their longing to feel more alive in their own skin. And I realized maybe my truth would make them feel safe. Maybe they'd see themselves. Maybe they'd finally feel permission to speak their own desires out loud. It was terrifying to risk making people uncomfortable. But I decided that the right people, my people, would stay. And in that space, we could both be free to show up as we are. Even in a cis-het presenting marriage, I yearned to belong to the LGBTQIA+ spaces. to feel seen, to feel validated, because bisexuality doesn't vanish when you fall in love with a man. Through exploring ethically non-monogamous spaces, I realized how many people are just like me, stuck somewhere in the middle of this messy spectrum, unsure where they fit, searching for what feels authentic. We don't talk about these stories enough, and that's why I'm telling mine. Season 2 of this podcast was inevitable. This is where I finally stop compartmentalizing parts of myself. I'm bisexual, I'm sensual, I'm curious, and I'm allowed to love and desire in all the ways my heart and body are capable of. That doesn't make me unfaithful or unstable or inappropriate. It makes me human. Each day, I stand more proud of my life and my decisions, even through the hate, the confusion, and the occasional rejection. I am a beautiful soul who is capable of loving beautiful souls in whatever form they come in. To my listeners, if you've ever felt split between the roles you've played and the truth of who you are, let this be your permission to explore. You don't owe anyone a perfectly packaged version of your identity. You get to be messy, curious, fluid, and alive. This is your life. Live it for you. Thanks for listening to It's More Than a Haircut. If this episode resonated with you, share it with someone who gets it. And don't forget to follow for more real talk behind the chair. New episodes drop every Tuesday. Follow, subscribe, and come hang out with me behind the chair, behind the truth. Until next time, take care of your energy, your craft, and yourself.